Good morning. Good morning. Glad to see you. If you have time, please join our broadcast. We are here to answer any questions. We also have some news to share with you, of course. We'll just wait for a couple more people to join. We have news ranging from the immigration court, and also we have news from USCIS, and most importantly, we have news coming from the executive branch with President Trump leaving office less than 24 hours from now. So I'm sure that whether or not we agree on politics or government policies, I think we can all agree that we're happy that President Trump will no longer be in office, because I'm sure you're tired of listening to the news simply because they're talking about Trump. And we all know media is trying to make money off of him. So now that he'll be gone, we can finally focus on work. The government can finally focus on working for the American people. And so let me see if I can share the link to join. If you have our lobby here, if you have any questions, you'll be joined into the broadcast. If you do have any questions, the link should be available in the description below. Let me make sure for you. Yeah, it looks like it's there. Okay. Okay, great. Let me try to get to the point where I can put it in the comments for you. Okay, so there we are. I added it as a comment there, the link to join the broadcast. If you have any questions, we can answer process questions. If consoles are open or not, we can check for you. But to give you an idea, most of 99% of consoles are closed. If they are open, it is only for emergency appointments. You can see that if you Google search or go on an internet search for visa US, you can type in US visa appointment time, wait time, and you type in your consulate, the city where the US consulate is located or embassy. It will likely have on the red bar on top, say 999 days, which of course would be ridiculous, but that's just their token, basically their icon to say that they're only accepting emergency appointments. And everyone is asking, what's going to happen when Biden's in office? For the most part, things will go back to as normal as possible. Of course, not completely normal because of the pandemic. You will still have some delays overseas, is what I anticipate, just because nearly 1 year's worth of applicants have been waiting for an interview. So inherently, there will be still some delays. But even I'm sure President Biden and his team with Department of State will find a way to still resume interviews even during the pandemic. And even though the other news to share is, I'm not sure, but I anticipate that President-elect Biden will remove and reverse the travel bans. So whether it's related to employment-based, the PP 10014 that I know many of y'all refer to, and also the just the Muslim travel ban. I know that Muslim travel ban will be number one on his list for tomorrow. There's going to be many other executive actions he will take tomorrow, but we know so far that it will just be one of them will be related to immigration, and that's for the Muslim travel ban. So you no longer have to apply for a waiver if you're from one of those countries. I want to share some other news. Well, in terms of President-elect Biden and his immigration plan, anything that we share, we always provide the source. And if for some reason we forget in the description box below, please comment, ask us. We want to make sure you have the accurate information. I know there's of course, a lot of other YouTubers or people on YouTube. I would like to think I trust other attorneys as well, but I've noticed that there are some people who are not attorneys who are talking about immigration updates and news. And, maybe they could have some correct information, but they likely do not have a membership to AILA, Association of Immigration Lawyers, American Immigration Lawyers Association. There's so many acronyms. And so anyway, we get news from them as well. So of course, they vet it to make sure it's accurate. Also here, well, I try not to talk about politics, but when it's related to immigration, it's important to speak about. Number one, we're looking for stability within the respective departments, Department of Homeland Security, and then the agencies below that, USCIS, ICE. It's important to have stability in ICE because, then they'll understand what the policy is, the directives from the president, and I'm sure you know that under President Trump, people have been quitting, resigning, if not every year, at least almost every 6 months. In fact, even though President Trump is leaving office tomorrow, the policy director for USCIS, Joseph Edlow, who's the one that issued out a lot of horrible policies, including for the fee increase, which was blocked, by the way, recently, the past couple of weeks. He said he's resigning tomorrow at noon, which who cares, because Trump will be out by then. So that's pretty ridiculous. Apparently, he was not well liked by many of his employees. So I think that's very important to know, because if you're trying to file through immigration and you're wondering why it's taking so long, it goes from the top, right? It's not just the president, but people in the agency itself. If people are not well liked, or if leadership is not well liked in the agency, employee morale is obviously going to be very low. Just like if you're working for someone and you don't like your own boss, and so you're less likely to work as hard at your own job. And I mention this because when we go to interviews with clients, I tell my clients, sometimes you might get a bad situation, not necessarily related to your case, your facts, but just because the officer had a bad day. So we just have to keep that in mind, stay strong, stay confident in your own facts. And sure enough, anytime that's happened, which is, not often, when an officer has a bad day, we've been approved. And there was no issue about our own client's case. And I know it can be frustrating and I mentioned this tip because if the officer is giving you an officer who's interviewing you and giving you a hard time when your case is straightforward and there's nothing wrong with it, especially if there's no crimes, and they give you a hard time, and you're a type of person, your personality, tends to get nervous. And when you get nervous, you look down or you look away from the eyes of the person you're talking to. Judges and immigration officers use that body language to think that you're lying, that you're not, what we use the term, not credible. So that's why it's important to practice for your interview. So we'll have tips, videos about that in the future as well. Oh, going back here is I have news that ICE employees were notified by email of another resignation. Their acting director quit. So that happened January 13th, just about a week ago. So people are quitting even before the job is over, and it's only a week away, at least at that time. Many of you have questions. We received a lot of comments. We tried to respond to as many of them as possible. If we for some reason don't respond yet, and it's been over a day or 2 days, please know that we're trying to get the accurate information for you. We don't want to answer something and that we may not know exactly the answer. But even if we don't know the answer, we'll try to respond and let you know that as well. Okay, we just got a question from Anjan. I apologize if I mispronounced anyone's name. The question is, sir, why my status last update changed every week? It's changed like 3 or 4 times. If you're referring to the USCIS.gov website, it's not often that they would change the update they would not change the update that quickly or that often. But that goes to show that they could have a glitch, but in general, it's not always accurate. You know, let's say it's almost a 12-month mark, and this is for a case example of someone who's applying for adjustment of status, a green card while living in the U.S., and they entered with a visa. You know, it may still say fingerprints, and that was 6+ months ago. And anyway, it's not always accurate. It may depend on what it actually said. You know, sometimes on the update online, it'll say that updated name, and that may be because if you just hired an attorney halfway through your case or after you filed your case, we file something called G28 to show that we represent the client, and so that's what that means. So I'm not sure what your exact case status is, but I just want to give you an idea of what normally happens. Okay, we got a question from Mohammed. Thank you for your questions. You said that you lost your green card renewal in Egypt, and you can't get a U.S. embassy to get you an appointment. Okay. Well, you have to show that you have some kind of emergency, right? So let's say I'll just give you an example. But if you have a family member in America who's medically ill, then I would think that it should qualify for an emergency. Of course, I can give you more information about that. Let's see if I can pull that up. In the meantime, let's see here. Okay, but let me show the question. There you go. There's your question. You lost your renewal green card. I'm assuming you actually mean the green card itself. So you need to file an I-90 form to renew your green card. I don't believe you can do that straight from the U.S. Embassy. I could be wrong, but I know the problem is the problem with filing any application is they want to ask you for your fingerprints, biometrics. Okay, you still have the old card. That's good. So yes, file the I-90. I believe you can file that online actually. So try that. Okay, you go to USCIS.gov and you should be able to file the I-90 form online. So that can be quick. And because of the pandemic, 99% of our clients have not been required to take new fingerprints, right? Usually it expires within 18 months. So they could try to reuse your old fingerprint, okay? And really the reason they do that is to check any criminal history. So it really should be, I don't even understand why they waste time to get new fingerprints when since they hire subcontractors anyway. And your fingerprints won't change unless, I guess, you get surgery or something. But anyway, they just want to be take precautions. So file the I-90. Hopefully that helps. And you can upload a copy of your old expired card to the online system. That really should take about maybe 10 minutes. And you can pay online as well. Okay, we got another question here from Anjan. Okay, let's see. You got a 221G administrative refusal. After that, I send required documents. Case status showing refused, but last update is changed. I already done my interview, CR1. Okay. We've had situations like this where this pre-pandemic. We got one completed from you're welcome, Mohammed. Thanks for asking a question. Anjan, we've had some cases where, for example, right before the pandemic, we had a 221G, even though everything was completed on the front end before the interview. But this particular person was from Canada. Actually, he's from Thailand, but he was living in Canada as a student. But anyway, we were able to get him back from Canada into the U.S. right before, literally the week before the pandemic, the news of the shutdown of the border. So sometimes, anyway, to answer your question directly, you might need to make sure that you get your medical exam completed, because that could be one reason. Because I'm assuming you provided all the, evidence that you're married, not just the marriage certificate, but beforehand you provided, let's say, like a bank statement to show that you have it in both names. But typically you don't have to provide that for an interview. So if anything, it could be an issue with the fingerprints. Which country did you apply from? I don't want to assume, but check that website for the consulate, U.S. consulate for your country, to make sure what the process is for the medical exam, taking the fingerprints, because that has to be completed before the interview. If we've had some people that weren't able to get those two items done before the interview, things happen, but you need to get it done afterwards. And I anticipate you might have, you're from Nepal. Who knows? There could be issues with the contractors hired by the government for the medical exam, or trying to get an appointment for a medical exam and also the fingerprints because of the pandemic. Okay, you already did the medical exam. Okay, that's good at least. Did they tell you at the interview that to anticipate, or were there any issues at the interview? That's something to keep in mind. And if you have resolved those issues afterwards. And there have been some cases where people were not told there were any issues during the interview. So it's surprising. Okay. If you have more, Anjan, if you have more questions about it, case specific, I'm sure you do, please, schedule a consultation, because it sounds like they're getting more details that I would need to know to help guide you. But we are the immigration problem solver. We do answer any questions for you. We want to be able to provide the accurate information. That's very important, especially now with President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris coming into office tomorrow. There's going to be people pretending to be lawyers, and there's even lawyers. This is why lawyers get a bad reputation. There's going to be some lawyers that say that, they suddenly practice immigration law, even though they have not practiced immigration as a focus exclusively, or they only practice some other area law, let's say like criminal defense law. It's very difficult to practice multiple areas of law, because especially with immigration, there's always changes. As you know from President Trump, there's literally something almost changed every other day. That's why we've been providing videos practically every day. because we want to provide you accurate information. So when you do hire a lawyer, by the way, or at least please at least have a consultation with the lawyer. If you're going to be spending a lot of money, or even if you want the reason to have a consultation at least is if you're considering a lawyer, make sure that they practice immigration law. Ask those type of questions. Look them up online before you even schedule an appointment. It's very easy to find. If they don't have a website, I think that's already a red flag. They don't have to have a YouTube channel, but they need to have something on their online that shows that they practice immigration. And please do not hire a notary or notario. And there's a notary for any type of ethnicity community. The common thing is we know there's notaries within the Spanish communities, Latinx communities, but it's also the Chinese, the Asian communities. They're called like paralegals or like a liaison to a law firm. But I don't hire liaison to a law firm. I don't believe that's ethical. So keep that in mind. If they use those keywords, they just want to act like they have access to an actual lawyer, and that makes you think that they have you get the perception that, oh, okay, well, if they get your case information, they're going to ask the lawyer. No, you need to ask the lawyer directly. Okay. I know that law firms, we have paralegals, but that's to work on the case after you get hired. After we hire you, you should talk directly to the lawyer when you're considering to hire them. Okay. In a consultation, for example. Of course, when you call in directly to the law firm phone number the first time, you may not speak with the lawyer because, lawyers working on the actual case. But if we have a few minutes, we always try to make ourselves available. But it'll be more difficult these days with new immigration bill plan law coming in. So just keep that in mind. Make sure the consultation is with the actual lawyer. And I want to share a story. We had people who came to our office, hired us after they paid a notary an enormous amount of money. And I don't know why people would pay this much. You should research. Okay, it really depends on your budget. But anyway, this notary, filling out the forms is the easy part. You hire the lawyer to analyze your case, to review your immigration history, to make sure you are eligible. Because if you're not eligible, you don't need to hire a lawyer at all, right? And then you don't have to pay government fees. So it's very important that you consult with someone who has a license, at least a license, okay? For me, I mentioned this before, but if for some reason I don't know an answer, I will tell you. And I will tell you that I will get back to you within 24 hours because, a particular question could be very specific to a certain type of application or certain field office in the country. Not every immigration field office is the same. Sometimes they do things a little bit differently. Okay, so we do have. Okay, I wanted to share an update about the immigration court. If anyone here on the channel right now or watching this later has a question about the fee increase with immigration court, and so they stopped all the increase of fees through the immigration court. We call it Executive Office of Immigration and Review, EOIR, if you do like an internet search. But they stopped all the fee increases except a couple of them. And that is the motion to reopen. It was before $110. Now it's going up to $145. And also the asylum fee to apply for that within the court, that is going to be $50. So it used to be $0 for free. So to some extent, I understand. But for me personally, if I would not charge a fee, but I'm not the government, right? But because people who are applying for asylum, you're in fear of your country for some reason, okay? Every person's reason is different. Everyone's circumstance is different. I don't think there should be a fee, but the court did not block that. Okay, so Yeah, but they were able to block the fee for applying for cancellation or removal for people who are a resident or not a resident, and also a motion to reopen to the Board of Immigration Appeals. But the motion to reopen within the lower level, the immigration court, there is a fee for that, $110. I'm sorry, $145. Okay, so all those rules go into effect today, actually, January 19th. So we want to provide you up-to-date information. By the way, on the ticker below, if you want to schedule an appointment, there is our link. You can self-schedule whenever it's convenient for you. Okay, so that is news for that. We got about 4 minutes left. Okay, sorry, I saw some more comments. Okay, W, thanks for your comments. I do accept clients from New York. I'll show you here. Your question, if amnesty bill passes, would USCIS require tax documents for 10 years or only 2 or 3 years? You don't have tax, I'm assuming papers, you mean tax returns for 10 years ago. Now in my video, you may have watched my video a couple days ago. Typically, I would think the government is going to ask for that you have to show good moral character, meaning, number one, of course, you don't have any criminal history, right? But if you do have some crimes and convictions in the past, it's okay. We just have to make sure, in general, it's okay. I don't know with the new bill, the new law, the new possible law, hopefully coming in the next month or so. But anyway, the best way to show that you have good moral character, even if you don't have any criminal history, is to filing of tax returns. So I'm not saying, I don't know for sure if they're going to ask specifically for tax returns. They usually don't ask for specific documents like that. I'm just saying in my past video, that tax returns is the best way. So for now, if you have 2 or 3 years, that's fine. But keep in mind, of course, if you do have the financial records for the years before that, while you're living in the U.S. and working, just have that ready, okay? Have a CPA or accountant ready to hire if you need one, because you don't want to waste time. Just like when I mentioned, hiring a lawyer, make sure you have one ready to go when this law passes, because it will be a hard time just getting an appointment. You're going to be anxious. Anyone's going to be anxious. So hopefully I was able to answer that. Right now, it's not a for sure if it's going to require specific documents, tax return. Likely not, but anyways, it's good to have. And you can amend it, right? And by the way, if you have filed tax return and it showed single when you're actually married, we just got this question yesterday. There is a way to amend it. So you need it. I don't know how to do that personally. I hire a CPA. So you need to hire a professional to do that, or at least I think you should. Okay, W, you have another question. If amnesty bill passes and I want to apply for green card, is it too early to hire a lawyer now? I'm sure there will be too many people filing and it will be too busy. I think it will be difficult for us as lawyers for us to offer you a contract where we don't know 100% what will be required in terms of the package. But I think we have a general idea how much it will cost, the timing. So that's why I still recommend you at least have a consultation so that your information is in the law firm's system. And when the time comes, for us personally, once we have the email or your phone number, we're going to call and email everyone as soon as we know that the Senate is going to pass a law. And for us, even if you're in New York or some other state, for us, we're in Texas, Houston, Texas. We have clients all over the world, right? I'm sure some law firms also accept clients from anywhere else, right? But what we do to make it easier for our clients is we have a software database. We use a cloud software so we can share documents. We're very transparent when we file something. We put it we upload it into the cloud folder, and you can see it. We've had questions where when we're the second or third lawyer and we're solving their immigration problem, and we've been able to solve it. I've heard that the complaints that some lawyers don't share the file, even though the person paid for the services, right? So we share that on day one. We don't want you to feel that you have to pay extra money just to have a copy of your file. So we offer those benefits. It's on our website. Let's see. You can find our website right here. If you've been following our channel. Anyway, I hope that answered your question. And by the way, I would not necessarily call it amnesty bill, because if they call it amnesty bill, that's really allowing everyone, practically every immigrant to apply, be eligible. But so far, no Democratic politician, elected official is calling amnesty, because so far they're saying it's only for people who are TPS holders and for people who are DACA eligible, quote unquote dreamers. So just be mindful of that. If we definitely in our thumbnail, our videos, we don't call it amnesty because it's not true. So just be careful, okay? If you're considering hiring someone local to you or anywhere else, that they have to understand terminology. If they don't understand, then it's probably a good reason not to hire them, first of all. We're a little over 30 minutes, but I want to answer this last question from Alessa. Good morning. We finished our interview last January 5th. Okay, that was 2 weeks ago, but there's no response yet. It is said interview was completed and must be reviewed. How many days do they respond? Okay, so I've had some cases where I thought there were red flags, but I thought it was still, eligible, good to go. They could be approved. It was a marriage case, and they were, for example, the U.S. citizen, the immigrant beneficiary just got divorced 30 days before and then got remarried to someone else 30 days after, right? That's too soon, in my opinion. But he was approved within a week of the interview. So I share that story because whether you think your case has some red flags, possibly, I'm not sure in your situation, or even if it's straightforward, even if there's a delay, they have up to 120 days to respond to you, to give you a decision in the mail. I would not necessarily depend on the online USCIS.gov website for the update, honestly, because it's just very slow and for any type of update. But the most accurate thing is when you get that paper in the mail, okay, the 797 notice of action. And also for attorneys, if you hire an attorney just for this part, at least for me, our office, we receive the email notifications as soon as they hit it in the system. And when we receive the email notifications, we've checked the online status, and sometimes even the online status doesn't have the same information. So fortunately, we have the accurate information through our email. I'm not sure why they have it that way, but that's an offer we provide to our clients. But to give you more reassurance about your question, it could take up to 120 days. And that doesn't mean your case is bad or anything. It just, I'll give you another example. I think they gave us a cop-out reason, but a ridiculous reason. But a couple years ago, you're welcome. A couple years ago, the government, USCIS, said it had already been 120 days. In fact, it was like almost 6 months. But the government waited, and we, through the customer service tools that were available pre-Trump, Trump got rid of them, where we could email people, the directors, directly. But anyway, when we got a response, it just said, your client's name and date of birth is the same as someone else who filed in the same country. And I was like, that sounds like a ridiculous reason, they're just giving a reason, basically to say they lost the file and they found it again after all this time. So hopefully that does not happen in your situation, because if they lost a file, that would just take more time. But If it gets too long, past 4 months, we do have solutions. We're going to provide that in a video, hopefully this week, if there's time, because I imagine I'm going to provide a lot of updates about President-elect Biden and what he's going to do. But I have a note here. I'll write that down here, that we're going to write about what to do if the case takes too long, case delays. But I can tell you now, if there is a situation where the case takes a long time, past the 120 days after your 485 interview, we do provide a service to file a mandamus lawsuit to USCIS. It really tries to expedite your case decision. Okay, thank you, everyone. We'll have more updates. Please subscribe down below if you haven't already. Share our video, please, and smash the like button. It lets us know that you enjoy our content and how we share it with you. Anyway, until next time, please continue wearing a mask. Stay safe.